Hi everybody, it's Dee Slater with Create with Dee, and I'm coming on here unannounced on a Facebook Live on a Sunday to share with you this really cute new fun fold that I discovered. It's called a Bayfold card, and it does mail flat like any other card, but it's got a unique fun fold with it so that when it's propped up, it's reminiscent of a bay window. So it's such a cute fun fold. I wanted to make one of these cards and then come on and share it with you guys. The suite that I'm using for this card is the Frosted Gingerbread suite. And I've used a couple of the products in the suite, the Frosted Gingerbread stamp set and corresponding dies. These are the gingerbread dies, so you can get those two together as a bundle. Hi Rita, thanks for joining in. And then also the gingerbread paper. Oh my gosh, I love this gingerbread paper, and I hope that if you can join me on the 18th, the gingerbread paper, this Frosted Gingerbread suite, I'll have a few more projects with it as well. Alrighty, so to make this adorable card here, it really doesn't take that many products at all. We are going to start with a half a sheet of cardstock. I'm using the cinnamon cider. I am falling more and more in love with this color, especially for the winter time here. And here's the measurements that we're going to have. The cardstock's going to be 4 1/4 by 11. We're going to do some scoring, and we'll do that here together. And then we're going to need a piece of designer paper, 4 1/8 by 6. So this paper comes 6 by 6, so you'll use the 6-inch side and then 4 1/8 on it. Okay, let's get some scoring done. I'm actually going to do this here together. Normally I have the scoring all done ahead of time. I've had a couple of people say, Dee, could you show us how to use the scoring on the trimmer? So I thought this would be a perfect way of doing that. So let me just get that. The lighter the better, or is the lighter the on the blade is the scoring blade, the darker is the cutting. So I'm going to push that up. I don't want to cut. And let's go ahead and get our scoring measurements in. We're going to be living in the 8th world here, so we're going to be scoring at 3/8, 7/8, and the other ones here. So I'm going to go ahead and put this off to the side. And we'll go ahead and bring it in. So we're going to be scoring along the 11-inch side. And our first one's going to be 3/8. How I do this is like let's see, I think everyone can see. So there's the inch. The next largest is the 1/2 inch. Then it's 1/4. And so 3/8 is, we count 1, 2, 3. The scoring does go to 1/16 of an inch, but we're just going to do an 1/8. Okay, lighter the better. I'm going to score that. So we have 3/8. Pop this up. Oh, and I just popped that off. Welcome to live, Facebook Live, right? There we go, right back in. Alrighty, then we're gonna go 1 7/8. So what I tend to do is I go to the next one and then I pull it back 1/8. So I'm going back 2 hash marks. So we have 1 7/8. Go ahead and pull that up. And then 3 5/8, so that's 3 1/2, and then count 2, and we'll do that. Okay, then our next one is 3 5/8. Whoops, I did that one. And then we've got 5 1/8, and I may have to turn this the other way to do that. I'm going to go up now. This is how I tend to do it anyways, but I know a couple of people do it down below. I don't know how they do that. I like to go up on the top. So as you can see, this is great about the trimmer. You do have the ruler on either side. Our last one is 5 1/8. So on our trimmer, it's 5 and then go 2 hash marks, 1/16 and then an 1/8. Do that. And then 5 1/2. 5 1/2 is just going to be the typical scoring on this one. that you typically would have. Valerie says she does hers arms at the end too. I know, it's like I use it on the top, but a lot of people use it on the bottom. So I thought I would try to do what most people do. Okay, let's take a peek at these score lines now. So again, what we did is, this is the 3/8, 1 7/8, 3 5/8, 5 1/8, and then 5 1/2. So let's go ahead. I don't know why I've got something on there. And we'll get our scoring done here. Whoops, let me get my paper, or my bone folder. Oh, please. Us demonstrators had an opportunity to do what is called on stage. It's basically a Stampin' Up! Convention. And with this time of, you know, with COVID and everything still going on, we did it online. And so I was able to kind of take a few afternoons off to be creative, and it's been wonderful. Okay, so you saw what I did there. Like, this is going to be our binding, and then we're going to fold out, or like crease it out, and then this little 1/8 is going to be our catch so that we can make it. All right, so that's it for the folds. Pretty simple, I think, you know. And so now let's do some cutting of our designer paper. What I love about this, and I'm going to use the top, guys, it's just what I do. Then that way, you know, we all have to do what works best for us. One of the things, I'll bring this back in. If you have an orientation of the paper, let's say that you have something that's going to be a paper's up and down, you know, you just want to, you can make like a little scene. If you look really close here, you can see that these all were the same sheet of paper to start with. And so it's just a continuation of the pattern. And I love that look. So I'm going to cut it. This is 4 1/8 by 6, and I'm going to use this whole section up on our card. In order to do that, I'm going to cut it now at 1 3/8. So we'll go, I always find like there's the 1/2, the 1/4, and then the one in between those two. Okay, now I'm cutting. Okay, so I'm going to cut. That'll be our most left panel. I'll put that here. The next one is 1 5/8. So that's a little more than 1 1/2. So in between the 1 1/2 and 1 3/4 mark. That's going to be our middle panel, so it's a little larger. And then our third panel, I want to keep these in order, is back to 1 1/3. Or 1 3/8. 1 3/8. Okay. Now we are going to keep this little guy too. This is going to be our side panel, but I'm going to put that one off to our right. Okay, so let's see if I can cut on live correctly. So I want to keep these in order so that the patterns match up. And I'll get my trimmer off to the side. Okay, let's now, we can start assembling this. It goes so fast. I'm getting some tear and tape. Thought I had everything ready to go. I always do that on live. I double check my stuff and then it's like, oops, not quite. I do like tear and tape for this. I want to make sure that this panel does not go anywhere. So when you open up the card base, we're going to put this tear and tape on, like this is the 5 1/2 and this is the 1/8 inch strip that's right here. All right, so we're going to go ahead and take this up. You can use your snips. I just like getting it started with my, my take your pick tool. And we'll get that down. That's going to act as a little binding. Okay, so now I want to make sure I put these down in the order that I have them. So we got left, middle, right. So I'm going to go ahead and let's just start from the right. I'm using multi-purpose glue. And we'll get that down. I have been kind of all about the gingerbread motif for the holidays for a while. I've got a few little decorating things that I put out with it, but I'm just always attracted to the gingerbread type of things. So when this paper came out, I'm like, oh my gosh, Stampin' Up! Just had me right in mind for it. Okay. So, hey, we cut it right. I love it. Love it, love it. So as you can see, the paper motif is all continuing on in the same direction, and you know, it looks just like what I want it to look like. All right, so now we have this little strip here that was left over from our 6 inches. I'm going to use this as an accent strip over here on the inside right of our card. My sister, I think, you know, I had, for those of you that follow my page, you know, pretty steadily here, I'm not going to be on Tuesday because we're going to be doing a little birthday celebration for my sister's 60th. And I had a little card made up, but I think I'm going to do a birthday card with this bay window. I think, and I'll have to share with you guys what that looks like. Okay, so this is it. Now let's bring in the sample again. The bay window, I'm calling it, it needs a stopper. Just like if you ever do easel cards, you know how you always need something for that easel to catch. So if you're familiar with easel cards, this little guy, this little tab here acts as that same thing. We need to have a pop-up sentiment or embellishment so that we have something to tuck that in to make the 3D. So let's go ahead and we'll get that. And this is going to be the littlest, itty-bittiest paper that you probably have ever seen. I'm going to call that the stopper. And for this particular one, we're going to need a piece of basic white at 1.5 by 1 1/4. And then the cinnamon cider, 1/8 of an inch larger than that. And it's 1 5/8 by 1 3/8. Okay, so I'm going to get one of the stamp sets, or the stamp images from our frosted gingerbread. Wishing you a Merry Christmas. And we'll get that on here. Again, just super itty bitty. Get that popped off. Let that dry for just a heartbeat. Whoops. Get our multi-purpose glue. And I wanted to show you guys this too. This is a scrap that I had that was lying around, and I had tried something earlier on, and I misscored. But this, when you cover it up, you don't even see that. So I had a nice big strip of it that was scored incorrectly, but I saved that strip because, again, you can use it for something, and here we go. All right, so now we're going to go ahead and make the stopping mechanism. I did a little play with this, and this would be my tip for it. Go ahead and get a mini dimensional, or a dimensional, it depends on how big your sentiment is. And again, here's our bay window. We want to kind of see where we want it to stop. And so that looks pretty good like that. And I want this in the middle. So here's my mini dimensional, and here's where it's going to tuck. This is going to act as the stopper. So put your dimensional where you want it to stop. Whoops, so that's going to be my mark on it, or you know, my stopper. Okay, so now I can put dimensional on the other part of my card, or of my sentiment here. And I want to kind of put the other dimensionals, kind of keep it to the right-hand side a little bit, because you already have the one to the left. So I'm just going to kind of do a little like up and down on this. Nails are great from the salon, but not so great sometimes for getting the dimensional tops off, so take your paper piercer and get that off if you want. All right. So now I have our little wishing you a Merry Christmas. And I'm going to just kind of line that up to the edge. And so I have this actually like lining up with the paper is how it found itself ended up. But now since we knew where our little stopper was, like it automatically will tuck under there and catch it. So let's just kind of do that. So then that's our stopper. So that's the basics of our bay window. Now let's do a little decorating. As you see here, I have a piece of Whisper White, and I'll have the measurements of that. I forgot to cut that as well, darn it. But I did stamp with part of that. You're the icing to my gingerbread. I thought that was so cute. Wishing you a Merry Christmas. And then I don't know if you guys remember when I did the Stamparatus, but I made these little gingerbread snowflakes. And I had several of them, and so I wanted to go ahead and use that. So if you want to see how that goes, I'll have the link to that Stamparatus, and I'll try to find about what time that would be where you find that. Okay, so this is going to be the focal point of our bay window. And I don't know about you guys. Have you guys, do you guys use these wonderful snowflakes? This is like the best thing ever. I think this is like my third pack that I've gone through. I love these little snowflake elements. You can use the glossy side or you can use the matte side. For this particular thing, I'm going to use the matte side. I don't want it shiny. I just want to have a matte on matte with it. And so I thought this would look so cute layering this with our gingerbread snowflake. Again, that's part of that frosted gingerbread suite of products. I've got my matte side. Stampin' Dimensionals go right over it. Go ahead and take that off. And then however you want to line it up, I kind of found that, I just like the extension of the gingerbread snowflake. If you wanted to offset it, you could, but I just kind of like that subtle little extra background to it. So let's get that lined up. And then we'll add that to our bay window fold. And I'm going to pop that up again. And then that's just going to go right in the center of the main panel. Now that would be super cute by itself, and you'd be good to go. I did do a little step up on the gingerbread snowflake by adding some bling. So I'm using the Elegant Faceted Gems, and I like it how it's got the sparkle, but it's not as bold and in your face as what a rhinestone is, and it allows for all of these other colors too. So I kind of like this white one here, and that's going to go in the center. And then I do have my Winka Stella, and I have it primed pretty good. You can see how juicy it is, and I did that on purpose because I just want to add a little something to here, but I want it to be kind of substantial. So I'm just going to kind of paint this, and you can see how dark it is. So I really primed it so there would be a lot of Winka Stella right on the end of it. And then I'm going to come in between here too. So when that's propped up, it's really going to catch the light. And again, I'm just kind of going to fill it in. I don't want to paint it all because Winka Stella can act as a blending brush as well. And so I don't want to blend the ink into the icing, so to speak. But just enough of a little extra sparkle on it so that it really catches it dramatically. All right, so, and then it just so happened that, like luck would have it that when I cut this the first time, this was on the top and this was on the bottom. And I'm like, well, those little guys need a little sparkle too. So I'm using the smaller ones of these. And it just so happened, again, that I could kind of frame the inside of it. And these are relatively flat, and so it's not going to add a whole lot of bulk to the inside of the card, which is what I like about these gems. So then when it's propped up, you've got the sparkle here, and then you've got the carryover elements in here. Let me bring my original back in. So then when I did the stamping here, I also went on either side. All right, well, I hope that this inspires you to maybe try the bay window fold card. It's really, like, I was intimidated, but once I got into it, it's just really not any different than any other fun folds. And I hope you like it. Okay, everybody have a great Sunday, and I'll talk to you later. Happy crafting. Bye-bye.